We'll try to entertain you for the next 75 minutes. My name is Cornel Wullens. I brought with me... There we go.
That's a mouthful name.
Yeah, that's why I didn't try to say it. We both work in the Skype for Business product group. To start with, my cheat screen right here is absolutely horrible. So I hope. Oh, that looks fine. So this is the picture everybody always makes fun of. So I'll keep using it. I am Dutch. I am from the beautiful country of the Netherlands. Yes. Oh, the speaker is broken. Yes, it's that, not me, the thingy. Well, that's an additional good reason to be on that side, right? Yeah, so if I talk, well, this one, I think this one works. There we go, but that one apparently doesn't. Good for you for signaling that. Now we can fix it. There we go. I'll just keep talking and then you can sort of do something about it. No, yes. Good. There we go. Yeah, okay, awesome. So I'll just talk louder. And if you really can't hear, move here. It's a pretty big speaker here. Anyway, so Dutch, I'm from the Netherlands. I am on a lifelong mission to teach people that our country is not called Holland, it's called the Netherlands. Most people from the Netherlands think people from Holland are weird. Holland is a part of the Netherlands. YouTube, there's a beautiful video about it. We actually are a huge seafaring country called the Kingdom of the Netherlands. And we own a few islands even very close to the US. So if you're naughty, we could possibly invade you from a very close island with our mighty island force. There we go. It's in my head. If it's in my head, it can happen. I've been in Microsoft for 5+ years. I've spent over 15 years in the field deploying LCS, OCS, Link, and then Skype for Business in that order. I'm in the Skype for Business product group. Shuni is my awfully talented colleague in that same group. I am part of the customer experience and deployment part of that product group. My baby is the network readiness assessment. So anyone that has read the Skype for Business Operations Framework, the Network Readiness Assessment, that is something that I dreamt up and I written, and then someone that actually knew PowerPoint made it beautiful again. So that's my baby, so ask any question you want. I was at the booth all week. This is what you get when you're scheduled on a Friday. Then you get to say you're at the booth all week and no one can check. There we go. So I'll hand it over to Shuni.
So, can you guys hear me?
There we go.
Okay. So, my name is Yuni Sucahyo. I am actually from Indonesia. Have you been to Indonesia before? How many hands? Oh, so as you know, his country colonized my country. And that's why we are together here. No, that was that's a bad joke. But I'm from Indonesia. I love my Java. I see people drinking a cup of Java here. And those are what we are known for. We are also known for archipelagos. So we have more than 13,000 islands. If you haven't been there, come and buy our islands. There's 13,000 of them. So I've always been in Microsoft. I've been in developer. I've been an SDET lead. I've been a program manager. Now they call it a product manager, a PO, product owner. And I have really great passion for real-time communication. So I've been with the team since 2006. The first release of enterprise voice, the first release of desktop sharing, the join URL that you used to join the meeting, and many more. So the name of the product may change, but I remain the same with the team. See, talking about loyalty. So my background, when I did my master, I was doing AI. But when I joined Microsoft, I have moved around. I did SQL, C#, the first release of C#. I joined and with the XML web services to do the platform APIs, and as I said earlier, voice over IP, desktop sharing, admin UX, and now I'm working for IT Pro Tools team and managing the IT Pro Tools partner certification. I have several patents and publication in some area, but I'm not that boring. So I did a movie, indie movie that won Bay Area Film Festival, so check it out. We won 3 awards. I used to be a yogi and triathlete, and this year actually I'm training to be in bodybuilding. So there you go. That's a little bit about me. Thanks, Cornel.
Awesome. So that's us. The more time we spend on intros, the less time you can ask difficult questions.
That's
awesome.
True.
So for today, we will do a pre-presentation exercise. It's early in the morning. We need to get our bodies awake. Because today's presentation is about this. This is the description of this beautiful presentation. This is why you're all here. So this is also the point where we will give you a possibility to leave, because this is not exactly what we'll be talking about. But I promised some exercise. Let's start with that first. So let's everybody get up. We have to stand up. You guys have to stand up too. I can't help it. Let's everybody get up. There we go. Oh, the guy that walks in is like, oh, this is the wrong session. There we go. So we've got this. Now, this is a super simple exercise. The only thing you have to do is sit down. When I say so, not yet, not yet. So keep standing if you know all of the flavors of ExpressRoute. And it's no shame to sit down, right? Because we're here to teach. Keep standing if you know all connection options of ExpressRoute. And also keep standing if you know all the decision points when or to or not to choose for ExpressRoute. Then basically keep standing if you know ExpressRoute well enough to explain this to this audience. He's still standing in the back. There we go. So the problem with this now is that the only two standing are us. So I could spend the next, because we managed to like shave off 5 minutes by the intro, but now we've got 70 minutes left to talk about awesome BGP routes and IP addressing and how you set up ASN numbers and what you should do in your router interfaces, because that's what our description says. The problem is you'll go back home and now you know stuff about IP addresses, but you really don't know ExpressRoute. So we're kind of going to do it a little bit differently. We will still talk about where to find all the ExpressRoute configuration stuff, because the added complexity is to really talk about how to configure ExpressRoute. We will have to pick one person in the audience, and we would have to focus on that person's connection, customer, connection into Azure, all those things, and then talk about a very specific configuration for that person. Because no configuration will be the same. They will all be different based on how you're connected to the internet, how you're connected to Azure, to which services you're consuming, all those things. So we will do something different today. So what we'll do is we will explain to you what it is. Right? Most people sat down when they said, we don't know all flavors of ExpressRoute, which is very, it's a very common reaction because we never really explained it well. We will also talk about the ways how you'll actually connect ExpressRoute. We'll also talk about whether or not ExpressRoute is beneficial, if it even makes sense to have it, because there have been some super confusing guidance that says, you must always have it for Skype Business Online. Then we said, you must never have it. And then we said, you could have it. So we're going to take a little more, well, clear approach. So at the end of the session, what we really want you to know is, hey, I've got a customer, or I am a customer. I'd like to use Skype Business Online with voice. This is what I must do to make sure I get optimal quality. And ExpressRoute can be a certain part of that. And you know ExpressRoute well enough to explain this to anyone that asks you, hey, what's this ExpressRoute? Does that sound like a good approach? We happy with that? So no one is leaving yet. This is your time to leave. There we go. So we'll do that. So Intro into ExpressRoute, then how does it impact Skype for Business? Some internet and customer connectivity. ExpressRoute decision points, like why would I want this? What can this do for you? We have some awesome network readiness testing tools. So Shuni will help me with that. We've got some great partners that have built awesome stuff. And then we'll talk about deployment guidance. Can we do this in 70 minutes? I'm sure we can. So we will talk about an intro into ExpressRoute first. So what is it? It's a managed connection. That's really what it is. ExpressRoute is a managed connection between two fixed points. And the first fixed point is the customer edge. The other fixed point is the Azure edge. And we're already running into some confusion there. So I have a next slide that will help you with that. It's offered only by qualified partners. And with qualified partners, we mean we've worked with you. And we know that you can successfully set up ExpressRoute. And you can help your customer with the configuration of ExpressRoute. Because configuring ExpressRoute is not really something you'd like to do yourself. You really want someone there to guide you through that process and to make sure that it's set up correctly. Setting this up incorrectly will get you in trouble, and we'll show you that later on. So what are the benefits of ExpressRoute? Why do I want to buy ExpressRoute? Predictable performance. I know what I buy. I buy 50 Mbit of traffic towards Azure, and that's guaranteed. I will have 50 Mbit of bandwidth. That's 100% guaranteed. It'll be highly available. I can do QoS. I can do all those beautiful things that you like in managed networks. And that's something that we'll get. So awesome benefits of ExpressRoute. And the one thing that especially the CFO will like, it's financially backed. So if it is broken and your company cannot use ExpressRoute to connect to Azure, you will get money. It's awesome. All beautiful advantages of ExpressRoute. But we talked about edges. So what's up with the edges? So for the Skype for Business people, we know what an edge is, right? It's a Skype for Business edge. It's that very nice device that does audio and signaling and all those beautiful things. Well, but that's not what we're talking about when we're talking about Azure edges. So first of all, we have a network edge. A network edge is the perimeter of your customer's network or the Azure network. It's a demarcation between the big bad public internet and a private network. So when we're talking about edges, and you'll see this a lot in the Azure documentation and the ExpressRoute documentation, you'll see your customer's edge. That's basically your customer's router. That's where your customer leaves their own network, goes on the internet, or goes onto ExpressRoute. You will see the Azure edge, or the Microsoft edge, or the Azure network edge, or the Microsoft network edge. And they're all the same thing. And they have nothing to do with Skype for Business. That's the point where you will leave the public internet and you'll transition into the awesomest network in the world, the Microsoft network. And we can easily claim that it's the awesomest network in the world. We've spent billions and billions on getting fiber all over the world. It is the largest and highest capacity network in the world. It's owned by us. And we basically run every Azure service on top of it. The beautiful thing is, you are using it every day for free. We'll talk about that later on, but we're actually giving you a beautiful network to use. While most customers have their Skype for Business edges close to their network edges, it's in the DMZ, Azure has their edges close to the pools and might be very far away from the Azure edge you're using. Now it's super confusing, and that's why we'll talk a little bit more about how the Azure network works. So what do you want ExpressRoute? I'll leave this slide in here so you can look at this later on if you want to sell your company on ExpressRoute. Talked about this, 99.99% uptime guarantee, or 99.9% financially backed. Fully managed, you can have traffic classes running on that just like you would have on MPLS Cloud. It's a highly redundant network. It's something that you can trust to run your Skype for Business traffic on to make sure you get great media quality. We've got 3 different flavors. We'll zoom in on this a little bit more. But the 3 different flavors are Office 365 on top, Azure Public in the middle, and Azure Private down below. they live together, but they don't work together. So if you have Azure private down below, you can't run Skype for Business traffic over that express route because it connects to Azure private. It doesn't connect to Office 365. Very important distinction. So if any of your customers is currently using ExpressRoute, it might not be the right ExpressRoute. So Office 365, Azure Public, Azure Private. Office 365 basically connects to all of the Office 365 services, Exchange, SharePoint, CRM, Skype for Business. Azure Public connects to the public-facing services of Azure, like Azure Public IP addresses or Azure services that you consume. Azure Private connects to virtual machines you run in Azure, and you want to connect directly to your own domain. Okay, so we're confident about the distinction between the different forms of ExpressRoute. So next time we ask the question, if you know the flavors of ExpressRoute, you should sit down. Now you can keep standing. Awesome. These are the 3 flavors, very important to know. There are also 3 connectivity models. Connectivity model 1 on the left. This is a cloud exchange location. There are specific locations worldwide where providers such as Verizon allow you to put a server in, and that location connects to the public internet and connects to Azure directly. We call this a cloud exchange co-location. Second one is a point-to-point Ethernet connection. It's a super fancy VPN. You see this used when you have customers that are, for instance, they have a data center and they want to extend that data center into Azure Private. You would get the 3rd flavor of ExpressRoute, Azure Private, and you would then extend your data center into our Azure data center. You can share the same IP space, IP subnets. They can talk to each other directly. You would connect your data center to the Azure virtual machines. Basically, you now have a data center that both lives in the cloud as well as on-prem, and it's one big VLAN between them. The 3rd one is the most commonly used. It's hooking up your ExpressRoute into your MPLS cloud. You can have one or multiple entrances into your ExpressRoute, and we'll show you that a little bit later on. But that's basically connecting ExpressRoute and connecting, in most cases, Office 365 as one of the destinations in your MPLS cloud, allowing all destinations or all locations in your environment now to connect directly via managed connection to Office 365 or Azure Public or Azure Private. So we have 3 connectivity models, and we have 3 connection types. So we've gotten that down. Routing domains, this basically brings this together. So these are the default routing domains. So you will see, in the bottom, you'll see a private location, like an internal core network of a customer connecting to a core network in Azure. They will share IP namespace. Azure Public is usually between the customer's DMZ and our DMZ, so to say. It's our public space. And you'll have an ExpressRoute running into Office 365, also usually from the DMZ directly into our Office 365. So this is tying the connectivity models and connectivity types all together. Now we've talked about this, so one very important distinction to make and one very important concept to understand. A lot of customers ask us, well, if we get an ExpressRoute, do we now connect directly to the backend? No. What we'll offer you is a connection to our front end of our cloud services in Office 365. So this pertains to Office 365 ExpressRoutes. This still means you will have a netted connection between Office 365 and your internal clients. We will usually connect between your DMZ and our front-facing Azure services. So there's no direct connectivity to backends, no private IP addresses exchange. It's all still public IP addresses. And in short, and we'll look at that in the configuration guidance, the deployment guidance, you're simply getting a list of Azure names and IP addresses, and instead of routing them over the public internet, you're routing them over our ExpressRoute. That's all that's going to change. So who knew that we would just do everything public? Was it known by everybody? Here we go. Most hands stay down. I know Thomas always knows that. So we have a special guest, Thomas Binder, Mr. Edge. He's here today. He can comment on this. Anyway, so ExpressRoute worldwide. So what we have is, we talked about how ExpressRoute or Azure network is really the awesomest network in the world. It's worldwide. So we have connection points worldwide. Which means if a customer comes to us and tells us, well, you know what? I've got an office in Amsterdam, and one in Brussels, and I've got an office in New York, and I've got an office in Brazil. Do I now have to get a single connection? Because it sort of makes no sense to route my traffic all the way from New York to Amsterdam and then back just to get onto ExpressRoute. No. You can have multiple entry points into our ExpressRoute or Azure network, so to say. So this is something we offer. So in the example, you'll see an East Coast and a West Coast. They both have their own Azure entry point, the Azure network entry point. You'll see one for Europe. You'll see one for Asia. We always recommend customers to use their closest entry point when deploying ExpressRoute. So you see, so we're slowly cranking up the difficulty here. So we've talked about connection types. We've talked about the methodology. We've talked about where you can actually connect. So I feel we've already gotten a good chunk of knowledge across, which gets us into how to apply this to Skype for Business. So we have a very fixed set of performance goals. So these are our performance goals that you must meet to get a high quality Skype for Business deployment. And we measure these in two ways. We measure them for client to Office 365 Edge, and we measure them for customers Edge to Office 365 Edge. And as you can see, we don't measure towards the Skype for Business Edge, because we don't really care about that. We know as soon as traffic hits our Office 365 Edge, we know we're good. Because at that point, we'll transition into the Azure network, and we have full control over there. Literally, if we see that a link will be congested in our network, we'll get more fiber in the ground. That's what we'll do. We'll make sure our network is never congested. We'll make sure that our network is always capable of handling all traffic needed. So in the end, your customer's goal is to get onto our Azure network as soon as possible. That's the only goal. So these metrics have to be met to make sure you get a high quality deployment. And one of the ways of doing that is using ExpressRoute, because remember, it's a fully managed connection. And we'll talk a little bit about applying that later on. What happens if you don't meet them? Basically, stuff is going to go downhill really quickly. So if you don't meet them inside your network, everything's going to be poor. Peer-to-peer calls, conferences, PSTN calling, everything's going to be horrible. Because we measure both the client to Office 365 and the Edge to Office 365, subtracting the both, and you'll know how your client towards your own Edge is doing. So if your customer's Edge to our Edge is getting a round trip of 5 milliseconds, but your client is getting 300, I really would look at your own network first before upgrading to ExpressRoute, because it won't do anything for you. Some things you can't impact, for instance, clients working remotely. Yeah, if they have poor network quality, it's nothing we can do. Why have we set them as goals? Because we want to educate you. We want to tell you, hey, this is what happens if you're not meeting these goals. This is why it's important. This is why you should make a real effort to meet these goals. I'd love to make them requirements, but that basically means that if you basically, almost every customer that wouldn't be able to meet them can now not use Skype for Business Online. And we're happy, so if you're not meeting them, but you know you're not meeting them, we're going to give you some tools to measure this. You know that you're not meeting them because you have this small office somewhere in I'm going to say Indonesia, and there are 3 people working there, and they have this ADSL connection. Are you really going to buy ExpressRoute for them? I don't think so. We still want them to use Skype for Business Online. So we're giving you some tools so you can talk to those people, tell them, hey, you know what? There will be times where you will have poor quality. Be prepared for that. Have a mobile ready. Oh, cool. You can add something, it's fine. So you will have to have a conversation with those people and tell them, hey, this might be, you might not be in the best location. There will be times where your conferences will not be great. We know this. And as soon as people know that, they'll prepare for that. So remember, it's like 5 or 6 years ago, when you were calling someone and then the connection would drop, you say, oh, I'm on my mobile. And everyone's like, oh, yeah, that's fine. I get it, right? It's, oh, I know you're on a mobile phone. It's going to be bad because you're on a mobile. Same thing for this. If people know that the quality might not be optimal, they will be happy. They'll say, oh, yeah, I know. Oh, they told me this might happen, so I'm good with that. So very important to talk to people about this and make sure you understand that we should meet these goals. And if we don't, we have to make a conscious decision whether or not to proceed or improve. We'll demystify this thing. This is very distracting. What are we doing? Okay, well, fair enough. Super distracting. So connect to Skype online. It's always been a little bit of a mystery. So I'm going to be super clear here. On the left, you'll have your clients, so the person using Skype for Business. Then there's a customer router, the little distance between, well, the delimiter between the customer network and the internet. You'll have the internet. You'll have an Office 365 Edge, and we call these our Azure front doors. From there, you'll transition our Microsoft network or our Azure backbone all the way to the Skype for Business pool, where the Skype for Business Edge will live, and the Skype for Business pool, and the conferencing stuff, and all that goodliness will live there. So what do we measure? We don't measure between Skype for Business Online and the client, because those would be unrealistic goals. To ask 30 milliseconds round trip time between a pool in Europe and a client in Australia is never ever going to happen. However, we can certainly ask you to get a 30 millisecond round trip time between a customer edge in Australia and our Azure front door in Australia, very well manageable. So we really want to make sure that we get the network right between the customer edge and our edge. The rest we'll take care of. So this is what we'll measure. And these are the goals we had. So if we now make this into a very concrete example, we really brought the managed network all the way to you. So if you look at this American branch site for this European customer, they have their Skype business client in the US, they have their Edge router in the US, they will connect over the public internet, and I've called this American internet not for a patriotic reason, but that's the only portion they'll go over. They will not use a transatlantic backbone of the public internet. They will find the closest Azure 365 Edge, the Microsoft 365 Edge or the Azure front door in their region. So they will use an American Office 365 Edge. And we have multiple in the US. From there, they'll hop onto the Microsoft network and they'll use a Microsoft transatlantic backbone all the way to the European data center. Those will always have enough bandwidth. The traffic will be managed on there. We'll tag traffic. We'll expedite traffic on that network because we know it's audio. We know it's going to our Skype business server. So we will be prioritizing traffic as soon as it hits our network. So we should hit our network as soon as possible. So who knew we were doing this? One person. 2, 4, 5. There we go. Isn't this awesome? This is pretty cool. So we are saving you so much money on this. So the question? Oh, okay. Sorta, but that's multinational concurrency thingy. That has more to do with the placement of the users and conferences on the back end than it has to do with entering our Azure network. This is really looking at it from a networking perspective. So with this multinational placement of users, where this is really about, that's really about getting conferences, so getting the thing on the right closer to the person on the left, which is awesome because that'll certainly, I mean, Australia to Europe will always be 100, 130 milliseconds because that's speed of light. You can't go quicker. So if we can get that conference closer, awesome. But what we can do with the network, and we've been doing for a while, is we can guarantee that if you're in the US or Australia, you go to your closest edge, and as soon as you hit that edge, you're on a managed, awesome connection all the way to your pool. We don't necessarily have to bring the pool closer to reduce packet loss and things like that. Make sense? Sort of. Sort of, I'll take sort of. So we absolutely brought the managed network to you. Super important concept because this has very big implications when we talk about ExpressRoute. So, oh, thank you. Donations can always be sent to me. Oh, the speaker. Oh, I thought it was for me. Oh.
I'll donate to you.
This hurts a little bit. That's. So I know I have to speed up a little bit. So this is the internet. I made a beautiful picture about it. So this is how the internet works. Super, super easy. Your provider just has an awful lot of routers. That's all the provider has. They have a bunch of routers, and they'll route traffic between places. However, the thing on the right, an internet exchange, is super expensive. So your provider has to pay money to an internet exchange to send traffic there. So they don't really want to do that because they like to not spend money. And for those that are on Verizon, or they know how Verizon doesn't really like to spend money, they really don't want to give money there. So what they do, they say, so basically they'll say, so I've sold like 1,000 times a gig. I'll buy 1 gig from the internet exchange, and I'll hope no one uses the internet at the same time. That's basically what a provider does. We call it oversubscription. But now they have to do something smart to cope with that mechanism. So what they'll do is they'll talk to other people, other providers, and they'll say, hey, you know what? Let's not send our traffic over the internet exchange because then we'll both have to pay. We'll just put a wire between us. And they literally put wires between them. And that's what we call a, you see, that's, I lost the peering, there we go. It's on my slide, isn't it? Oh, it's not on my slide. So that's a peering between customers. So we're super, thank you, Thomas. So we are super smart. So what we did, we went to most of the providers and we said, you know what? Let's do a wire. So we have peering with most providers in the world. So what does this mean? This means on the top right, you can see that there's an Office 365 edge on your provider's network. And you'll also see Netflix, and there's some other ISPs. So when my customer connects to the Office 365 edge, this is sort of what could happen, right? Your provider chooses the cheapest path to get there, not really the quickest, but to get there. And if one path is cheaper and less used, then they'll do that. But that's sort of a sucky plan because now we have 20 routers in between, and that's never good. So if this is my path, I can call my provider, and I can tell them, hey, man, this is not a very good service you're giving me. How about I pay you a little bit extra money, and you do this for me? Or how about I pay you a little bit more money, and you do this for me? So no ExpressRoute, nothing. I just called my provider and told them, hey, I'll give you money and you make my internet better. Because it's not magic. We're not reversing 15,000 providers. This is in your own provider. There are very few providers that don't have a peering to us. Super important concept to get. If you get bad quality, call your provider first because they can fix it. So now we've had this. Some decision points. Why do I actually, because if you saw that, why would I buy ExpressRoute, right? I could just call my provider. No point in buying this. Sort of correct. Why would I want to buy this? Before you know that, you need to get on the road to getting there. So you need to do a network readiness assessment. It's in SOF, do it. It'll tell you whether or not your network sucks. That's basically what it'll do. Go through it. There are some tools in there that will help you decide on the quality of your network. You have to present ExpressRoute to your customer. What I just did for you, this presentation, is in SOF. Tell this to your customer. Make sure your customer understands this. ExpressRoute is not a magical bullet. We thought about this, and we need to make sure that they understand this as well. Because if your customer has internal network issues, and we sell them, oh, we still have 40 minutes left. I thought it said 19.
No.
Awesome. Oh. So, see, super. I've got the attention span of a goldfish.
More jokes, please.
Sorry?
More jokes, please.
Oh, we can do more jokes. Well, we had them on the screen, but the people that were late missed them. Too bad. So the concept. So, has anyone explained the internet and ExpressRoute to you like this before? Is this new? Was this awesome? I think it's awesome. It's pretty. So I had to work out. You see, now I can get to donations. This was not an easy thing to build, right? Yeah. So this is something where so we've got How. He owns ExpressRoute within Microsoft all up, and I worked with him tremendously to make sure we got this message across, because I think this message is way more interesting than telling people you should maybe, yes, no, perhaps do ExpressRoute. So we've now talked about how ExpressRoute works. We've talked about how the internet works. We've talked about how to get to a point where you can make a decision. So this is about, we've done this network readiness assessment. We've run some tools, and we'll show you the tools. We'll do a demo, I promise. Now we have to see, so when does ExpressRoute make sense? Because at this point, it just looks like a really expensive thing. There are some very good reasons to consider ExpressRoute. You might be at a customer that says, hey, Skype for Business is mission critical to us. Well, that's every customer, right? Skype for Business, mission critical. We need to have a redundant connection to Skype for Business. ExpressRoute's for you. Hey, I need a connection that can be backed by an SLA if we don't meet 99.9% uptime. ExpressRoute's for you. No internet provider will give you a 99.9% uptime into Office 365. You will need ExpressRoute. Your customer might be a bank, and they might require you to have a managed connection end-to-end. ExpressRoute's for you. There are many reasons to pick ExpressRoute. Just because you have a faulty wireless connection is a bad reason to get ExpressRoute. So a default, you're running Skype Business Online, so you should have ExpressRoute is not a good reason. If your customer needs QoS, go for ExpressRoute. There are so many policies and so many reasons to go for ExpressRoute. I just want to make sure that you know there are alternatives. I need you to understand that how the traffic flows, how the connection's set up, and that there are alternatives. And if you pick ExpressRoute, pick it for the right reason. These are awesome reasons. So we have some network readiness testing tools. And I'm super excited because it took me a long time to get here. It took our partners less long time to get here. So Shuni will talk about the partners and some of the awesome stuff they've done, and then you'll be done with me for a little bit. What I'm going to do, I'm going to talk about this super mysterious download that popped up on Friday. So is there anyone in the room that saw this download and tested it and downloaded it? Yeah, one person, very good.
I do.
Oh, yeah, I know you did, but you're in the team. So, I know there were some. So we published this tool Friday. It was like this is a super amount of work to get this done. We were super happy we got this done, and then people were complaining. Such a stupid tool. It doesn't do that much. Such a stupid tool. You download it. It shows some values, and we were so happy with that comment. At least I was. Because this means that we had people just downloading it, running it. They would get the values, and it would just work. It was apparently so easy, and just because you don't understand the results doesn't make it a dumb tool. Because well,
user error.
That's the truth. I'm not calling anyone dumb. I'm just saying that's the way it is. So because what this tool does, and this tool is an essential part of the Skype Operation Framework, our network readiness assessment. Just like we have a lot of partner tools that Shuni will show, this is the most simple way we could think of that you can just download, run, and test if you're ready to go for Skype for Business Online. So in Soft, there's a lot of guidance on how to use this on a more regular basis and how to get really meaningful results. But this is really a super simple tool. And when people said this is such a simple tool, yeah, that's what it's meant to be. You can run this on both Windows clients and Windows servers, which is easy because we want you to test the client to Microsoft Edge and the Edge to Microsoft Edge. The tool saves the results in results.tsv. What's a TSV? A TSV is a tab-separated value file. I didn't know that. I only knew a CSV, but apparently commas and developers is not a good combination. Use the result analyzer to analyze those results. So what I'll do now, and then Shuni will show you all kinds of even more awesome tools. I'll now get this tool, and I'll show you the tool. So what I will do, and I have to go here, so I will go to download.microsoft.com, and and there's, as I said, way more guidance on in Soft in how to run the tool, how to get these results. Oh, I'm required to tell you, this is a pre-release version of the tool. We've gotten this online for you guys to make sure that everybody that was thinking of ExpressRoute, interested in ExpressRoute, can download this, run this, play with this. There will be an updated version in a month or two. Say month or two? Yeah. Where this will be a final release. We're tweaking some things like right now, you can only set the name of the file in the config file. We'd like to have this command line run, so you can run this like in Windows Task Scheduler and stuff like that. So we're really looking into that, but this is a pre-release version with limited functionality. And the increased functionality will mean that you'll get 2 more values in the results, and you can specify the name. So it's not like when it's done in 2 months, it'll have the awesomest interface and stuff. This is really what it'll do. There's not, I have to temper expectations of this, or else we'll get this new email thread. So I'll go here. I can also just look for Skype network assessment, and you'll see this. It's called the Skype for Business Network Assessment Tool. And all I have to do is download. I'll save this on my desktop. Save. It's awesome to use like the PC that you're doing your presentation. Let's see if I can I make this smaller. It's just a zip file. I'm extracting the zip file while we wait. And in the zip file, there is a config file. I know you can't see this, so don't worry, I'll show you. There is a config file. And the config file is super not exciting. Don't touch anything. That's the thing with the config file. Don't touch it. The things I did want to highlight is that the relay IP that you see here is our Anycast address. So this means this will find the closest Azure front door for you. We made it super convenient. You don't have to do anything. I know, dumb, easy tool. It will use the Skype for Business media stack. So we will run an actual audio call. We will get the actual audio call back. It will use the Skype for Business media stack. So the results you'll see are identical than results you would see in CQD or QE or whatever, because this is the Skype for Business media stack. We've really taken out everything from the client we could, and it's just the client making a call. For those that are familiar with Skype Business, 3478 and 443 should be very familiar ports when you're looking about media. You can set a different WMA file. We've given you one for free. You can use that. If you want to play disco music, go ahead. You can't hear it anyway, so who cares? Just don't touch it. The only thing you want to touch here is number of iterations. How many times do you want to run this? I'm going to set this to 5. What's the name of the file you want to save this to? What's the delimiter? That's a tab, because it's a tab. And how much seconds do we want between the calls? Let's do 3. No, I'm going to do 5. 5 is a nice value. Remember, don't touch anything. We're going to keep it 5. So set this to 5, and that's all the config I'm going to do. So I'm going to open a command prompt. I will go to the desktop. No, that's just too quick. I'll go to the network assessment tool, and I'll run network assessment tool. That's all I'm going to do. So this tool is now going to make a call. So it'll find the closest media edge, it'll play the tone file, it'll receive the tone file, it'll analyze the received file, it'll get all the values in the RTP stream. It'll run for 17 seconds, which is a super odd value, I know that. But the reason 17 seconds is we have to get very low values to make sure that we could protect our edges against DDoS attacks and things like that. If we open it up for more than 17 seconds, a very smart person has calculated that that's the magical number before a call turns into a DDoS. So while we're doing this, and I'm talking, you can see some results coming in. So a super dumb result, you can see things like, well, my round trip latency was 4 milliseconds. That's nice. My packet loss rate was 0. I like that. How many packets did we send? How many packets did we get back? What was our average jitter? What was our package reorder ratio? We're still missing 2 values, the one-way latency, and we're missing the packet reorder rate by heart. Sorry, not the packet, the other one. Forgot the name, doesn't matter. We're missing 2 values, we're putting them in for the final release, but this is already a super indication of how well your network is doing. And please keep in mind, super basic. This is really, if you look at the partner tools, and Shuni will show them, they are way more fancy, they have way more options. All we're doing is we're giving you a tool that, well, it was less than a minute, right? I downloaded it, ran it. We're running the tool already. I can already test if how the network is doing, and anyone in the world can run this tool. Really download it, run networkassessment.exe, and go. You wouldn't even have to go into a command prompt. You could just, well, double-click the file. So now it's here. You will get a pop-up about firewall stuff, but I already clicked allow. Now what we'll do is the result analyzer. And we have to say the file is results.tsv. And all it'll do is tell us if our edge-to-edge and our client-to-edge has passed. Super easy. Because this is all we want people to do. This is what every customer in the world should always do before implementing Skype for Business. It'll tell us, the result analyzer does discard some results because some of the peaks, we have to lower the peaks, and we have to sort of flatten out the results to make sure we don't get false positives. But it'll tell you, hey, if you ran this tool from an edge, you've passed or failed. If you ran this tool from a client, you've passed or failed. The whole concept of this tool is download it within a minute, get this running, and make sure you can do a simple test. If you fail this test, it's a good reason to talk to your ISP, your networking guys, or at least now you have something to investigate. If you want a more awesome tool, we'll show you some of the partner tools. They are much better than ours when it comes to the GUI and the usage. But this is a very basic tool that will apply to everybody, and the guidance to use this and run this is in SOF. In general, what you'll do is you'll pick 3 busy hours, and you'll pick 2 non-busy hours. You run the tool for an hour during some non-busy hours, so you get a baseline of, hey, if no one is using the network, how well is my network doing? You run this during 3 busy hours, so you know, hey, if people are on the network, is everything still fine? And if everything passes, you're good to go. Super simple usage. I'll give it to Shuni now, so you get some rest. And Shuni will show you the also awesome tool from partner. So I'll get this one done. There we go. Go ahead.
Thank you, Cornel.
You're clapping, but I'm not done yet. I'll be back after Shuni's done. So
he wants more clapping. That's what he's trying to say. So thank you, Cornel.
Focus. You have to get the focus back on the thingamajig. Try it again.
There you go. So I'm running this IT Pro Tools Partner Program, which is cover the on-prem and online. At the bottom here, there are all our partners in on-prem and also probably moving forward, they're also interested in moving in online. So who are they? They're key partner going through the DAP partner program. We certify them through a test plan and providing the requirement, and third-party vendor will run tests and tell them, yes, they pass all the tests, and we provide the name of the partners in our partner solution website. So we stand by our partner certification because we are the one who's driving the program. And what they do is taking what we have and enhance the experience or enhance the information and provide it to our customers. So for online, which is very specific to our today's talk, which is Skype for Business Online, we are here especially to support Cornel's effort in ExpressRoute. So we have two partners, IR, which is just recently certified for network assessment for Skype for Business Online tool, and Nectar Perspective that's on the in progress to being certified. So what is not talk, awesome session without a demo? So there it is. You can read all this slide later on. I'm going to provide the demo.
Oh, yes. 8, right?
Yes.
Works.
Yes. So here we go. This is our first partner, which is IR Prognosis UC Accessor. What we have in here, I am showing similar steps that what Cornel just shown you, how to configure your sites and what location that you would like to your tenant area to hit. You can pick. You can say like, okay, I would like to hit the closest edge, or you could actually specifically pick an edge within Microsoft that you would like to hit. You could also say, I would like to provide a test with video or voice or app sharing. You enable them, and we go back to this particular site. So it will only take about 20 minutes to probably get it set up. You just pick a computer, a laptop, or a server, like from the client side or the server side to do the test. So once you run the test, here is the site. For example, this is all the Skype for Business Online tenant site, New York, London, Denver, Sydney. It happens to be IR is based in Sydney, so they're running it from Sydney against the Melbourne here, the edge in Melbourne. All the other site, for example, the New York will hit the closest edge. That's why it says Anycast IP. So you will have the information as you hover on top of this line. Green means like all the metrics that required are meeting the threshold. But if it's above the threshold, you can see it will be red. So if I click on the longest network hop, it will lead me to this. Yes, I opened all this tab already pre-prepared for the demo. But you can see in here that it shows hop per hop. It shows each IP during the hop. So you can actually associate where the failure is or where the number or the problem is. And you can see these are the internal one, and this one are the public one. And then these are within Microsoft sites. So what do we get from, like, if one of these paths shows red? You will get a further information that shows the particular device, interface number, and on top of that, a network prescription. If there is a collision exists in this interface, if there is a, you can go down the list of what is the probable problem of your network. On top of that, you can create, they provide a result in a format of a table that highlight the network assessment result. And in here, you can export the result. And one thing that's worth mention is they provide all the information in the format that Azure Express Route team required. Isn't it interesting for you guys?
I appreciate your enthusiasm, John. Good job.
Thank you, John. So that's one of our partners. And so I'm excited to show the second partner that we have in this field, which is Nectar. So Nectar also provides the similar testing against our edge for Skype for Business Online. So in here, you can see that the tenant site, Demo 1 and Demo 2, they have two hardware that send synthetic transaction between the two sites, as well as against our Microsoft Azure. And they measure the information. If one of these leg is in trouble, you will see that it will turn red. So far, so good. It's all green. So what do they, if there is a problem in there, you could actually see the same thing, hop per hop, from one direction, and then the other one is to the other direction. I skipped one thing that's important, but the configuration of Nectar can be done through this configure tab as well. It's pretty easy. However, it's really important for you to determine which network assessment you would like to run and provide the download and set the hardware in the right spot to test. So one thing that's very interesting about Nectar tools here, it also provides a real-time data, and it provides the DSCP, MOS, RTD, jitter, and loss. And all this configuration, not only just how to configure your software itself or the application, you can adjust the threshold. We, Microsoft, provide a requirement, but say like you would like to make it more strict with higher threshold or something like that. You can actually go in and adjust it yourself. So this is how Nectar is doing the network assessment for you. And in the report, you can do the same. You can basically run the test, save your report, and use it later on to talk to your Azure Express Route if there is a need for it. With that, I'm giving it back to Cornel. Thank you.
So the, yes, well earned. So you've seen 3 tools, and you've seen that the ones that Shuni showed were way more advanced. They could do way more things, and they were like they did awesome things, like centrally managed, and you can have tests between the locations as well instead of just the online edge. And we highly encourage you to take a look at those. Those are our partners. They build awesome solutions that will do the same and a lot more. But we've created this basic tool so that everybody in the world will be able to test against their edges and know if their performance against Skype Business Online will be great. and if you want to do. And we really encourage continuous testing, and we encourage to keep doing this. But that might not always be. Is it for me? Just. Okay. We highly encourage everybody to run a network assessment. You must always run a network assessment. You must know how your network will perform, because ExpressRoute is one of those things that will help you fix issues. You need to have a properly skilled network.
I do have one thing to
Yes.
mention. So our partner, besides they are providing the network assessment tool, this network assessment tool also provides remediation
Yes.
and troubleshooting. That's
Yes.
one thing that I
Yes.
forgot to mention. But this tool take whatever we provide into like distance. So you can use that tool, click on it, what's the problem? Like what you see earlier, the advice about this might be the case, it might be the cabling, it might be the configuration in your router.
Yes. So you must run a network assessment. You can do the super basic thing that we have, or you can do I hate to do it better, but let's say a more advanced version of this that also provides additional features, nicer GUI, because you really didn't spend any time on the GUI, apart from our tool. So I know you're all thinking we can pack our stuff, we're done. We are not. So let's take all of that stuff that we've learned today and put it into a scenario. I'm going to read this because I'm pretty quick at reading. So I'm going to talk through two customers. They're both planning to implement PSTN calling, so telephony from the cloud. Customer 1, customer executes a network readiness essentials with traffic simulation. During traffic simulation, it is found that network has an average packet loss of 4%. An advanced assessment is triggered. It's found that the wireless network is at fault. After remediation, the new traffic simulation shows less than 1% packet loss and all metrics are green. This network readiness assessment shows that they don't need ExpressRoute. They found an issue by running a super simple tool. They saw the edge to Azure was doing fine. They saw the client to Azure was doing, well, less fine. And now they've decided we have to fix something internally before proceeding. This is why tools like this must always be run, because there are many situations that I've also dealt with where someone has advised to go with ExpressRoute because they had a poor network connection. They spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on ExpressRoute. It didn't solve anything. How happy do you think this customer ended up being? The secret answer is not very. Super important to do this. So we found an issue, we fixed this super easy, customer happy. Scenario 2, executes the network assessment, over a 7-day period, network metrics are all green, but there's a business need to have a connection to Office 365 that's covered with an SLA. So we have this customer is doing perfectly well, the network assessment showed that all metrics are met. However, this customer has a good business need to run ExpressRoute. Get them on ExpressRoute, because they need to get a 99% financially backed SLA by using ExpressRoute. That was one of their needs. It's a customer need in this case. So yes, the network assessment tool must always be run. You must test the customer's network. However, based on that outcome and the customer needs, a decision around ExpressRoute needs to be made. That's why it's super important to understand what it does, why it can be used, when it can be used, before making a decision. Packet loss is not enough to just buy ExpressRoute. Some of the deployment guidance, I know you came here for that, and with that I can do it in 2 minutes, I'm sure, and then we can ask questions. Decide if it's for you. That's the first thing in deployment guidance. Decide if it's for you. Don't go to a partner and say I want it before you know if it's for you. Then find a partner in your desired location. In each location in the world, we have qualified network ExpressRoute network providers that are trained for this. They know how to set this up. They know how to integrate this into your network. Go talk to them. They will tell you exactly what you need to do. Because every customer will have a different scenario. Every customer will have a different environment. No single solution is available. I really wish I could give you all the BGP routes you need to configure. I really wish I could give you all the IP ranges. But they will be different per customer. They will be different for each situation. So these are the people that will be able to help you with that. These are the people that will give you the correct answers that apply specifically to you. There are some things that we can help you with. So we have some great Azure documentation that will give you IP ranges you need to add to your route. There's some great documentation that will tell you about, well, you must publish this to your network, and this should still go over the internet. There are still certain services that will traverse the internet. There are still certain services that traverse ExpressRoute. But what it will be for you exactly depends on the services you're consuming, surprisingly. Depends on your topology. So these are the people that will help you with that. With that, we've got 10 minutes left for Q&A. And everybody is happy to ask. If you want to ask a question, I will ask you to either speak super loud so the mic can pick it up or walk to the mic.
Just one question around, you got 3 separate peerings.
Yes.
The customer always connects to the Azure Edge, right?
Yes. Yes.
Why there are 3 separate?
So the question is, why do we have 3 different connection types? So yes, the customer always, so the traffic will always flow through the Azure Edge. Now, depending on the service you're consuming, your express route will connect to a different set of services within those Azure edges. So while it will traverse over the same network internally, we have different services we offer, and internally our Azure network is also split up in different tunnels, and so you buy a different set of services. Such as? So, so some of the services we don't want to use ExpressRoute. Now I will. Yeah, I'm gonna be. Let's just say. How can I explain this quickly? There's been a lot of field guidance going out over the past year, where the field guidance, and the guidance has changed. So I know Exchange can use ExpressRoute, SharePoint can use ExpressRoute, but this all drives back to what fits your situation. There might be customers for which ExpressRoute is the right decision for Exchange or for SharePoint. There might be customers for which ExpressRoute is not the right decision. So I have to be vague about an answer to your question because there's not a single magical bullet for that.
Hey, Cornel, sorry to interrupt. For people who are leaving, just one thing, please fill up the survey.
Yes.
We would like to hear from you.
Absolutely.
So
Yes, please complete the survey. Yes.
Just on that though, the Skype for business, obviously we want to use ExpressRoute, if you're aware, get the SLAs, get a guaranteed voice.
Yep.
So you're going to need to be able to split that traffic.
You can.
With using what the 2x market.
So the question is, if we want to use ExpressRoute for Office 365 just for Skype for Business, can we? Yes. We will provide you, and the deployment partner closest to you will help you set that up with the correct IP ranges you need for Skype for Business Online, the correct name for Skype for Business Online. You can absolutely do that. We have a question. Happy? Cool. I wouldn't do that, but you could. Yes. You could. I would use IP ranges because you have to publish routes and stuff like that. And it's Skype for Business will use different IP ranges than Exchange or SharePoint would. So you would use IP ranges, not necessarily. Yes. Question.
Most of the problems we have with Skype is for remote users. If we implement express routes, they're not gonna take any advantage of that.
I'm so happy that concept is now understood. That's one of the points. It won't help. Yes. Yeah. So VPNs are bad. So the question is, what if we have a remote? I feel like that. Just read that. I think it's kind of that. I'll use this thing. Oh, this. Oh, yeah. Looking. This. It's on. Oh, there we go. Yes. So the question is, if I have remote users with a poor connectivity, can I use VPN to connect to my office location, then express route to Office 65? Plan. Audio. You're double encapsulating traffic. Just don't do it. What you could do for those home locations, run the network assessment tool. It's super awesome and simple. Once you've done that, you sort of know where to look. Did I turn it off? Oh, okay. Awesome. So use the network assessment tool, test what the actual problem is, and work from there. Oh no, I have two. Oh. I know. I'm happy with having two. Do the evaluations. Evaluations. Yes.
With the partnership with media, VPN or the remote users connect with on-prem or online?
Well, that's a bit of a loaded question. I don't. So depends on how you're using it, I suppose. So our guidance is and will be encapsulating media in another way of encapsulating it is a bad plan. As far as I know, Citrix doesn't do that because you would be using the client remotely, but a local media stack, therefore sort of circumventing the VPN. So I don't think our guidance is going to change on that. But that's something Citrix can talk to you way more. So we've got 3 more minutes left. So who has another question? Oh, sorry. He's. Oh, then we do one for you, one for you, one for you. Awesome. Yes. So do we have a list of providers that have a direct peering with us? I don't. I'm sure there's a list, but you can do a very simple test. You saw the Anycast IP. Do a tracert, command prompt tracert. See if you stay within your provider's namespace and then us, which is 99.9% likely. They're a peering partner. If they're not, give them a call and ask them to not be cheap. I suppose that's the thing I would do. Yes.
In one of the slides that we showed, why express route? I'm talking about the decision point. It said that resiliency for
Yes.
network happens to be one of it.
Yes.
How are we going to show the resilience? I mean, how is it giving us?
Oh, I can.
resiliency?
So the question is. Oh, I like you guys sitting here. I wasn't ignoring you, just to be very clear. So the question is, how are we showing resiliency for express route?
Yeah, using
I can
express route.
show you, but it's super boring. It's like an extra line. So when you buy express route, you're actually buying 2 connections. So you have 2 routers on your side, on the other side. So instead of this one orange line you saw going to Office 65, it's technically 2, but for all intents and purposes, you'll experience this as 1. If one of them goes down, the other one will take over. So you can only buy express route as a dual connection, so to say.
You're talking the connection to the local Azure point? The one
Yes.
that you showed? Okay. So they're technically 2, you're saying?
Yes. So yes, you'll have one connection between the customer edge and the Azure edge, and there are physically 2 connections, or technically whatever you want to call it. But
No,
logically, it's a
not
single
Azure
connection.
Edge, isn't it? It's the local Azure point you showed.
Sorry?
You said local Azure point?
The local Azure front door, yes.
Yeah, to that.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Correct.
our Azure network is so awesome, it'll always work. Till the end of the world, we have full faith in that.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes. Correct. So no. So the provider. So first of all, for media stuff like that, we'll use the Anycast IP, and Anycast IP will simply be redirected to the closest Azure front door. your provider basically knows the IP ranges of our Azure network, and they're routers. So what your provider will do is, oh, this is off 65. I'll throw it over to my peering. They won't look at DNS names, whatever. It's all IP. It's all IP based. It'll just say, oh, this segment of IP addresses should be thrown to that peering, and that's all they do. Yeah, but that's all DNS. This is very far away from DNS. This is all IP silliness. Providers will do this for you. Awesome. Yes.
There's a challenge in exchange for the express route where. Thank you.
Oh, he's going to say bad stuff about Exchange. I like that. Yes.
So there's a challenge with Exchange on the express route where there are some namespaces that are used by both clients and Office 365 services.
Yes.
And they could be published only either through the internet or through the express route, and that's the challenge.
Yes.
Right? So is there a similar challenge in Skype, and if yes, how do you recommend to resolve it?
So I'm sure we have. So I'm sure we'll have challenges like that. So in general, and this is really general stuff, and don't hold me to that, but talk to your local express route person. In general, we really want media to go over the express route. And that's just a fixed set of IPs. It's an XML file. You can auto-update. It's awesome. And I think we actually have some web services and stuff like that. We'll just use the internet. Because it's important. But if it's delayed or stuff, we don't really care. It's a different story if your customer wants to have a fully managed connection for all services. Then you need to talk to one of those providers, because they will be able to give you a way better answer than I can. Sure we do. I just don't know if you can access that document. That's the question. I know we have this document, but this is an ever-changing vehicle. And this is really something where the ExpressRoute partner will be able to help you with. But it's absolutely documented, yes. If you go to the Azure website, there's a special website for Azure ExpressRoute. And everything that you need to know about doing this is in there. But it's like bedtime story, BGP, IP range stuff. So I wanted to save you guys from that. So that, yes, it's documented, but the guys on the list will be able to provide you with better. He still hasn't said I should stop, so if there are more questions? No more questions? Oh, yes? I was a little bit worried when you started asking questions. That's...
Okay, so does this equally apply to meeting broadcasts as well?
Yes.
Because they are kind of
Yes.
different. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And one more question.
You promised only one.
You talked about next hubs or hubs within the ISP.
Yes.
Do you have any recommendation on how many or few there should be?
One should be nice.
Yeah. From your customer edge.
So I don't really care as long as they meet our requirements. That's really the answer. Less is always better. So what I'll do, since, well, my next presenter isn't here and they haven't kicked me out. So what I can do, very simply, I can show you this. Oh yeah, I have a different session. I need to run. Just realized that. Yeah, in 4 minutes, but it's very far away, so I'm not going to make it anyway. So if you do a tracert to the media edge, you can actually see the hops that you're going over. So this should sort of work. So we can see that we're now in our own network. And now we go over, Comcast. So this is Comcast 3, 4. And I think here's Azure. There we go. I think that's Azure. So we apparently we're on Comcast Business. We're doing 4 hops. Yeah, 1 of 4. I think that's Azure. So you usually see that as Amazon Network. Yeah, this is Azure. So 173, I'm pretty sure that's Azure. So I had 4 or 5 hops until I got there. I hope the name resolution starts working again. But that's like 4 hops on Comcast. So, and as long as you saw the results, all passed. If they put in 60,000 routers, awesome, do it. as long as I get the performance. The only thing you have to think about is the more routers they add, the less trustworthy the performance will be. Because now you got 60 things that could go wrong. But this is an ever-changing. This always changes. Like it's dynamic routing, right? Yes. Of course. No. So, oh, you see, the mic was actually off.
To our partner can show the most if it matters to you. It's not like something that we required in part of like our network assessment guidance, but if it matters to you, our partner actually show it.